Hello, this is I Go Travel with the Don Barnett. They say that British Columbia has over 20,000 lakes, and we're going to drive along the shore of one of the bigger ones. It's called Kootenay Lake. We are headed north of Creston in southeastern BC, and we'll take the highway that goes north along the lake. This is Creston, where trucks get through the city on another street. But as a tourist, you get to drive right down the main street. We went by the landmark grain elevator. Looks like it was imported in from Alberta. The flat valley of the Kootenay River is great for growing various grains and hay. But Creston is mainly an orchard town. Cherries and apples are the main crop, but raspberries, peaches, things like apricots and blueberries are also grown. We've often had a chance to pick right off the vine or right from the trees. The Creston Valley here is a nice flat, rich valley of the Kootenay River. It doesn't produce as much fruit as an area, let's say, like the Okanagan, but it's still good stuff. The two-lane paved road is north along the lakeshore, and it's a highway number 3A. We started our trip down at Creston here along the Crow's Nest Highway and went north. And don't let this straight line, black line, fool you. This is a windy, twisty road. If you're in a hurry to catch the ferry, indicated by the white line, just out of Crawford Bay, you're liable to be behind a slow-moving vehicle or truck and wait your time. If you miss the ferry, there's another one coming an hour or two later. And the first larger city in the area is Creston. The other large city in the area, larger city, is the community of Nelson. And further up the lake to the north is a tourist place called Caslow. And the first community that we ran into just on the outskirts of Creston, really, is the community of Windell. And they have a very large sawmill operation there. Small communities here are sandwiched between the lake in front and steep rising mountains to the back. We went past Sirdar, and somewhere between Sirdar and Boswell, we saw this sign, the Glass House. We were about 40 kilometers north of Creston at that point. We just had to pull in and find out what that was all about. There she was, 500,000 glass embalming bottles to make a house. The guy who built it was in the funeral business in Red Deer, Alberta in the 1950s, and he decided to make the walls of his house along Kootenay Lake here out of empty embalming bottles he had collected over the years. All 250 tons of them. He set the bottles in cement with the bottoms to the outside and necks inward. The house was on solid rock overlooking the lake. The house was about 112 square meters in size with 3 main rooms. It would comfortably meet the needs of a small family. Descendants of his family still live in the house and charge a small fee to tour you through the house. Take it. It may not be every day that you get a chance to walk through a house made of glass bottles. The interior of the house was wood. It looked like pine wood, nicely furnished in the era of the 1950s. And the personal living quarters were off limits to the public, but one of the bedrooms was available for touring, and it was a nice, pleasant, quiet kind of a room. They also had quite a collection of dishware, and it was on display in the house. Cupboards and appliances were as they were when they were installed in the 1950s. The area surrounding the house was a good-sized area with different levels and paths and stone steps to reach the various elevations. The embalming was developed initially by the ancient Egyptians 5,000 years ago. They wrapped their bodies in cloth, and they called them mummies. Embalming became really popular in the United States during the Civil War, where they killed a lot of people, and processing all of the bodies was quite an undertaking, hence the origin of the word undertaker. The undertaker had quite an undertaking dealing with all of these bodies. Embalming itself is the process that slows down decomposition of a deceased body by removing blood and body fluids and replacing them with preservative chemical fluids, largely formaldehyde. This was a nice arch he had made out of the bottles. Embalming preserved the body, while appearances would be more natural for viewing later at a funeral, or if the body needed time to be transported long distances. After you die, your carcass will last for about a week naturally, but total decomposition usually takes anywhere from 5 to 10 years. Nice views of the lake. Did you know that all organs remain in the body during embalming? Blood is drained into the community water system. Just think of that pleasant thought next time you take a drink of water out of the kitchen water tap. No embalming, then you had to dispose of bodies in other ways, either by burying them right away or cremating the body quickly. A day or so is about all you had. Otherwise, the smell would get rather unpleasant of a decaying or rotting body the size of a human being. As you know, different people have different rules about the way in which bodies are disposed of. I think both the Jewish people and the Muslims bury with no embalming, but within 24 hours, maybe up to 72 hours. No open caskets either. The Hindus cremate generally within a 24-hour period. The early Indians raised bodies on platforms high in the trees. I remember working in the Arctic and seeing coffins out on the tundra. The ground is frozen up there, and you can't dig in the ground, so the early Christian missionaries had the Inuit people put in a coffin and carried out across the big land and just set out on the tundra. When I worked in the high Arctic, the ground was always frozen in the permafrost, so bodies could not be buried in the ground. So what the early Christian missionaries did in those days, they had the Inuit people put the body in a coffin and carry it out by either dog sled or some of the early snowmobiles that were in town then. Take the bodies way out into the tundra somewhere and just set the coffin out on the land. And I remember snowmobiling some years later, and we would run across these coffins every once in a while all out on the tundra. And I remember one time I got curious and I took a rock and kind of hammered at the top of a wood coffin and pulled the board away and just to peek inside. And sure enough, there was a skeleton in there, all nicely laid out and It gave me the bit of the withers. I put the door shut and hammered the nail back in the coffin and jumped in my snowmobile and got out of there. We digress too much, and let's hit the road. I told you this road was full of twists and turns, but still a nice ride. Kootenay Lake is one of the larger, deeper, and colder lakes in BC. It is about 100 kilometers long and 150 meters at its deeper points. If a storm comes up quick over the mountains and you are in a boat, get to shore fast. The far side of the lake is called Dark Woods, which is Canada's largest privately owned conservation tract. It is a hands-off area. Most places along the highway are privately owned, but you can find places to stay. The total distance between the Creston and the ferry is only about 75 kilometers, but it will take you normally a good hour to drive it. You can get gas at places like Lakeview and Grey Creek. Grey Creek store is one of those old-time stores that has everything in it. It sells fireplaces and claims to be the fireplace capital of the Kootenays. Now that is quite a title. There's the sign right there on the side of the truck. I can tell you a story about Grey Creek here. Just over the mountains to the east is the former big mining town of Kimberley. And it was had a German theme, a German Bavarian tourist theme. And a lot of German tourists came out to Kimberley. And they had heard about the big lake over here, Kootenay Lake, and they wanted to see it too. So they would fly into Calgary, rent a motorhome, and drive out to Kimberley. And they had heard about a shortcut road over the mountains. And they went straight out of Kimberley to the west on this Forest Service road, a very rough road, a high clearance vehicle type of road. The normal and really only way to go from Kimberley over to Grey Creek and the big lake was to take the highway a short distance over to Cranbrook, down around to Creston, and then up the highway that we just went on to Grey Creek. Now, the German tourists had heard about a road, a shortcut over the mountains. And they then flew into Calgary from Germany, rented a motorhome, came out to Kimberley, visited that community, and then went over to the big lake. And they decided that they would go over the rugged Forestry Service Road, a high clearance road only. And the road down there into Grey Creek is a very steep road, and you had to use your brakes a lot. Now with bigger vehicles like motorhomes, these German tourists were not used to driving them, and they just used the brakes coming down the hill rather than gear back with their engine like you normally do with a bigger vehicle like a truck or a motorhome. And you could smell the stuff burning, the brakes burning halfway down that hill. You could see that they pulled into Grey Creek with smoke all around the camper ready to set on fire. But the campers' brakes were basically ruined after that trip down the hill into Grey Creek. German tourist companies didn't even tell the tourists about the better paved highway. They just kept that all quiet and just said, just there it is on the map, just go straight west and there's nothing to it. They had so many problems with wrecked motorhomes that they finally closed down the operation. Our last stop before the ferry was Crawford Bay, which was a center of a group of artisan shops. And there was different shops there. We stopped for lunch, but they had pottery making and jewelry making and several other kinds of things. The pottery was interesting, and the wood turning with the lathe made some beautiful wood bowls and dishes. We also went into the Kootenay Forge, a metal turning shop, bent metal into all kinds of unique designs. We stopped by the broom making place that is one of the old original log buildings. This was an old broom maker they had replaced. I never realized there were so many styles of straw brooms. The whole community was a chance to see skilled artisans at work. It was a very enjoyable stop indeed. I've got an idea for you. How about go in and buy one of those brooms and then give them to your friends. Then they can sweep away their troubles. We are close to the ferry now. At Kootenay Bay, there is a first-class golf course. At one time, some golfers would fly in their small private aircraft, land at the small airport, and golf their game. We are dropping down to the water level. The ferry takes everything from small cars to big trucks. Only 600 meters to the last exit. Now we're coming around the bend. Looks like we're down to 300 meters. That's the last exit for runaway vehicles. Runaways or failed brakes are rare. We'll just ease into our lane. We are ready to board the ferry. Just waiting our turn. Nice and slow does it. They take campers and all kinds of vehicles, including motorcycles. Everything from foot traffic to semi-trailers. There are several parking attendants to help you park exactly in the right spot on the ferry. They guide you into the lines. Usually heavier vehicles like semi-trailers, log haulers will be parked in the center lane. But they give you the exact lane, and everybody is moving slow, and they move you right on up, and the attendant will even tell you how close to park behind the vehicle ahead of you. They give you the signal right to the very exact spot. Well, you'll have to take the ferry on your own. We're going to stop here. And by the way, it won't cost you any money. It's all part of the BC highway system. It is one of the longest free ferries in the world. So enjoy your ride, and we'll see you down the trail. Hit the subscribe button, and that'll tell you when we're putting more videos on the internet. This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. If you want to see more videos I've made, just do what it says on the bottom there. Google my address. Start with the little @ sign, @DonBarnett5090. Click my name first, and then hit the word playlist in the middle of the page and scroll down. Each playlist contains several travel videos.